Good day everyone. Today we're going to go over the new TTS mod for Dropfleet Commander. We've put a lot of new features into this mod compared to older versions of it. So I'm going to go slowly step by step how to set up and play a game of Dropfleet, and maybe show you some of the features available to help make your games easier and get you started. So with any start of any game on Tabletop Simulator, the first thing you want to do after you've loaded up the mod here, like I've done, is to change your color. So to do so, you just move into the top right hand corner of the screen up here, click your name, click change color, and then select either blue or red. This will give you access to your hidden zones of that respective color. So board area wise, now that I'm red, you'll see my name's shown up here along with my avatar. We've got two hidden areas on the board. Only the player of that color and game masters can see into these zones. So if I was currently the blue player, I wouldn't see anything in these zones. So you can feel free to organize your activation cards and whatnot in here, and it'll be out of line of sight of your opponent until you're ready to show him. Okay, so let's go over all of the board areas. So we've got the main board here. Now this will change depending on when we load a map, but we'll get there. There's the activation track here, and we'll cover that as well. This is essentially just how your battle groups are going to activate rather than stacking them in a deck like you would normally in real life. We've just set them so that they can be laid out, but I'll give you an example of how that works as well. We've got a spot for your faction deck and a discard pile. You'll see if I move the faction deck out of the way, it's blank there. So if you're not playing UCM, of course you can move this deck. Pro tip, to pick up a deck of cards in TTS, you've just got to left click and hold, and it'll pick up the entire deck, as opposed to single left click, which will just pick up a card from the deck. So let's leave UCM there for now. If you're looking for a different faction deck, say you're not playing UCM, you're playing Scourge, here the faction decks are all organized by faction on this side of the board, sort of the setup side of the board, where all the decks are available for each faction. Now, over here we've got the dice roller. How this dice roller works is any dice you place here in the center of the roller will roll that many dice automatically and log it for you in TTS. So say for example you need to make a single armor save, that's set to 1. Let's say you need to make 2 armor saves, so let's set it to 2, so you can adjust the number of dice you want to roll, so here plus minus, and then you click the number to actually roll it. Now you'll see it'll roll the dice for you and broadcast your results and save it in the log over here on your screen, so in case you missed the result, you can go back and check your log. So very straightforward. Like I said, you can change the dice in here. If you want to use your faction dice, we've included a special faction dice container here, so if you have a look inside, say we want the UCM dice, you just pull that out and replace it in there, easy as that, and now it'll roll UCM dice instead, just like that. See, UCM dice, way luckier. Next up on the board we've got token repository. Now these are all your usual assets that you'll be using during the course of the game. These are all infinite piles. So say you want to launch a few bombers, here we go, you just left click, pull, left click, pull. There's your bomber tokens, place them on the board as you wish. We've got infantry times 3, armor, batteries, torpedoes, bombers, fighters, and then critical damage states for ships. Now the critical damage states for ships token has 7 different states, and what that means in TTS is, say you roll a fire result, it's very easy, it's already in fire state, but if you want to change the state to a different critical damage result, say you rolled damaged engines, just right click the token, hover over to state, and then you'll see here engines disabled, scanners offline, armor cracked, etc, etc. So here engines disabled, it'll change the token for you and you can put it next to your ship. If you want to use quick keys, you can also use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. 7 keys on the keyboard to quickly circle through them. Otherwise, if that's not your jam and you just want to find the right token, just search here in the damage box over here. You can search, and I've got one of each type. That'll be easy for you to find. Next up we've got the board. this magic board here, this is how you set up your map, because you can see here this is a very boring map to play on right now. So what we've done is we've prepared all the core rulebook scenarios and all the Battle for Earth scenarios for you in little baggies here inside this box labeled scenarios. So say you wanted to play Scorched Earth, right? You'd find the Scorched Earth bag inside the scenario box, pull it out like so, and then drop it onto there. So because I dropped it onto the board here, it should actually just be this zone, but this zone counts as well. You drop your bags here and it'll spawn it on the board for you, already set up and ready to play. So just like that, we've got a map. The debris and everything has been laid out for you. If you want to adjust the debris layouts, because obviously some people like to set the debris themselves, all you have to do is move over to the debris field you want to adjust, right click it, and select toggles lock. The quick key for this is L on your keyboard. So if you want to just unlock it or lock it, it's just L, and you'll see when an object is locked, it doesn't highlight when you mouse over it. And then once it's unlocked, when you mouse over it, it'll highlight as it's editable. So here we can move the debris field around, etc. And place it how you want, if you want to do your own debris fields or whatever. Other than that, everything will come default locked onto the table, so you don't accidentally move it out of the way during your play. Now, if you want to clear your table, you come back over to the stage here, and you've got your various options. You'll see it's all set up. Clear the table, bam, it's gone. Now, of special note, all containers in this mod are scripted, so that if you pull something out of it, as long as the container is locked in place, it'll be generated inside the container. So if we look back in here, Scorched Earth is back in here. So say you want Scorched Earth again, here we go, drop it on there. Because another option you have, if you don't want to clear the table, if you've made adjustments, say you don't want to play on the green lands, you want to play on a lava planet, we've made the map customizable for a few different of the battle mats. So here, once again, it's a state option. Let's find the lava planet, there we go. Now you're fighting over the lava planet. Now you want to save this because this is your own custom table. Maybe you've made a custom mission, you've changed the debris, whatever. To save the table, you can just click here, Save Table. And you'll see it'll slowly pack it up for you and put it in a little bag of your choice. Now this little bag won't have a name, and you need to keep the set label at the beginning if you want to keep this bag. And then you can call it whatever you want, custom map. And then if you save that object in your custom objects, so you will then be able to call it forth from your own objects later at a later date. Next up we have the fleet boxes. Right, so the fleet boxes have been organized by faction, obviously, so Resistance, Shaltari, PHR, Scourge and UCM. Currently we're using two-dimensional models for the ships, with plans to eventually expand to the 3D models. It's just a lot more resource intensive and time intensive to get the 3D models set up. But they're in the pipeline. Now, if you, for example, want a UCM ship, here you go, you can look inside here. As before, any ship you pull out will be refilled, so say we want a Kiev Heavy Destroyer. There we go. You saw there immediately added a new one in. Now, it's not going to show it in here because it hasn't refreshed the search window. But if I close it and reopen it, there's the Kiev Heavy Destroyer re-added to the bag. Otherwise, a much easier way of doing things is once you've pulled out your Kiev Heavy Destroyer, say you want 3 of them in a unit, you just take the Kiev, duplicate it 3 times with Control-C, Control-V, or right-click, copy, or clone will just make an immediate clone, copy, and paste will paste copies for you. Let's set up another scenario bag. Let's go with, there's also an intro table, well, not one of the standard missions, but it's just a nice table to teach people to play on. In future we may add an intro fleet or something in the intro table bag, so it's set up and ready to go, quick demo game sort of thing. Now you need to set up your groups, right? So we've got our Kiev destroyers, and then we want to add Washington. Now that's two groups we've got. So here you'd work out the strategy rating of your group. Offhand I can't recall what a strategy rating for Washington is. look it up in the army builder. It'll tell you the rating. Let's just say, for example, we're just going to go 1 and 2 here for the purposes of ordering. And then you list your battle group content. So Washington, Kiev times 3. And this can be battle group A and battle group B. Now, how we've worked the battle group cards is you can just keep adding cards if you need more. Just copy paste. So up to 7, obviously, as per the rules. And once you've got all your cards set up, or you've built your list, you pull your activation cards. So obviously we've only got 2 in this example. So I'm just going to pull them all out here. They're set to stick onto the board there in the place so that they don't go flying everywhere if you place the card. Now, how I like to do it is I select my cards and I pull them into my hidden zone. So my opponent can't see in here right now, blue player. And here I'm deciding, ooh, I want to activate the Kievs first and then the Washington, because I'm worried the Washington's going to get sniped across the board. Then I use the F key, which will flip it over. Also, if you want to zoom in on your card, say you're zoomed out like this and you're looking at the board, and you really want to tell what's on this card, but you don't feel like mouse wheeling all the way in and out, the quick and easy tooltip key is hold down the Alt key and it'll bring it up on your screen like this, and you can immediately see what the card is that you're mousing over. So there's the Kiev and the Washington as I move my mouse. So now I've decided Kiev's first, then Washington, and I use the F key to flip them, or you can right click toggle flip, I believe. No, it's right click flip, and then you place them in activation order like that. Your opponent does the same with his cards, and then when you're both ready for first activation, you flip the card. Easy as that. You compare strategy ratings, and as per usual and the rules of Dropfleet, you play a lovely game. Now, playing a lovely game, let's put these ships on the board here. So manipulating the pieces on the board comes second nature to me, so because I've been playing so much TTS. But let me give you some tips on the easiest way. So to rotate them, you see I'm just rotating them easily here. I'm just using my mouse wheel to rotate. If you want finer rotation, hold your mouse over the ship in question and use the Q or E keys, and that up at the top here, your rotation degrees, however much you've got it set to. Now you'll probably want to leave it down at 15 because that'll give you much finer control. It'll rotate the ship that many degrees. So here, Q rotates it left. For each tap of Q, it's another 15 degrees. Like each tap of E, it's another 15 degrees. Here I'm holding it down. You can hold it down for a quick rotation. Another tip is lift height. So here I've got it set all the way down low. I think the default starting is high. You'll see here when I pick up my ship, it goes much higher. When you're zoomed in on the board, it's kind of hard to see what you're doing. So I like to put it all the way down low when playing Dropfleet. And my rotation at 15. Right. So this, now, moving a ship. So say we want to activate this Washington. As you can see, the ship's stats, we've listed them as a tooltip when you mouse over the ship. So you can see the mighty Washington and all of its mass drivers. We see that the Washington has a thrust of 6. Okay, so say we're just doing a normal move. The best way to do this, you can measure beforehand, but there's a much more intuitive way of doing it. So measuring beforehand is you click on the line tool, go from center to 6, like that, right? So that's just you pulling out a ruler and measuring. That's your tape measure that you've just pulled out. But if you want to do it naturally as you move the ship along, select your ship, left click as if you're picking it up and holding it, right? Then, if you hold down the tab key, no matter where you move it, it shows you exactly how much distance you've gone. So obviously you're going to follow along your facing arc. So tab, 6 inches, and there, just like that. The Washington's gone forward 6. If you wanted to rotate at the beginning, say you've done special order or something, hold down tab, use your mouse wheel to rotate how far you want to go, and then move your ship, like so. Just be careful you don't accidentally stop following. So keep your line of sight, try and keep it in line with where your base is going. Don't, oh yeah, I bumped the spike button, we'll get to that now. Don't accidentally start moving that way when your ship's facing is this way. And like that. Perfect. Now you want to measure for firing. So first of all, make sure your measurement tools are set on the correct settings. On the side here, this is your toolbar of all your available tools. Find the line tool, which is F4, that's your measurement tool. Now make sure that this is set on 2D, not 3D, because you're not going over buildings or anything vertical. And make sure, instead of set to edge, because edge will clip it to the edge of the base to the edge of that base. You don't want that at all. You want it to go to center, because that's how things are measured in Dropfleet. So here, line from center, and there you'll see it measures the center to center. So we can see the key of destroyers are in my side arc and 8.3 away, whilst this one is also in my side arc, and this one side arc. Simple as that. Next, yes, I already explained all the tokens you'd need if you're sending launch assets, etc. Grouping ships. So if you've got multiple ships groups that are the same type of ship, and you don't want to get them confused, neat trick in tabletop sim. So say I've got 2 units of Kiev heavy destroyers. What you can do is select the one unit and change their color tint. Change them to a lovely UCM green, and there you'll see their bases also turn green, so they're very distinctly different from the other ships. Now, bases. So we've scripted the bases so that you have complete control of your ship's spikes, orbits, and health. So you'll see here with the destroyer, my lovely green destroyer, as the destroyer takes damage, you'll just click it down. So 1 click down 1, 2 clicks down 2. And as you get to half hull, because as we know, half hull is a dangerous place to be, it'll turn red to remind you that you need to potentially take additional damage effects. Same thing with spikes and orbits, so low orbit, atmosphere, high orbit, minor spike, major spike, silent running, no spike. So just from far away you can see the Washington's got a major spike, he's got a minor spike, he's on half hull. Washington's still on 26, whilst he is on 3. Okay, a little bit more complicated, Shaltari ships. As we all know, the Shaltari have lovely shields. So what we've done is we've scripted in a shield button as well. So here at the front here, shields up. Green icon is green, means the shields of the ship are up. And last but not least, the resistance with their infinitely customizable ships. Here we've got, let's find a less complicated example than a heavy cruiser. The frigate, good old resistance frigate. You'll see there's a white bar at the top of a frigate when you pull it out. Its high orbit and spikes have been moved slightly down to make space for it. But what this allows you to do is when you're setting up your resistance ships, you can cycle between the available options of customizable things you can purchase for your ship. And they've been color-coded as per subsystem type. So you'll know, this is my ship with the light vent cannon, and then here you're going to have heavy cruiser, and you'll see heavy cruiser's got 5 slots. So it's got mortars and artillery, and if you left click and right click, it goes forward and backwards. So right click goes forward, blades of armor, mortars, artillery, and missiles. And as always, the tooltip, if you hover over, will give you the full stats if you need a quick reference, if you don't have a list printed out. Right, so that's customizing your ships and using the scripted bases. What next? There's a whole lot of assets on the board here. Damage tokens, faction dice, if you want to use a faction dice. Spare purple and yellow assets. You've got infinite piles here, but sometimes people like to go fishing around for specific assets. If you want to build your own boards, we've got sectors, scenery, and Battlegroup cards. So, well, Battlegroup cards is if you don't want to copy paste this, or you accidentally delete these, you can spawn in some more Battlegroup cards from there. Otherwise, inside sectors, we've got all the sectors you could possibly want for the board. And inside scenery, we have the map and all the typical scenery bits. You'll note we've added orbital rings as well. For high and low orbit, because certain missions use that, as well as there's moon tokens, etc., and space stations. There is a rule summary sheet on the side of the board in case you need to double check a rule, such as crippling damage, etc., etc. As always, if you hold down the Alt key, or you can open it in a side window here, pop out to screen, and it keeps it open for you whilst you're playing. I find that gets in the way a little bit, so I like to close that and then just reference it when I need it by just going, yes, I rolled a 1 and a 1, so it's a bright flash on my critical damage. Lastly, we've got this lovely turn counter. Essentially, you can change here your fleet you're playing, so UCM, Scourge, PHR, Resistance versus PHR, and you see it'll load up the appropriate tokens. This is just literally to keep track of your objective points. Left click raises them up, right click raises them down, as well as what round of the game you're in, etc. So let's go over hands quickly before I go. So here we've got your faction deck. Let's say we're actually playing Resistance today, because we've prepared our Resistance things. You get rid of the UCM faction deck, and you come over and fetch the Resistance one. Remember, left click hold will get the whole deck for you. To shuffle your deck, just mouse over it and tap the R key, and you'll hear it'll make a very satisfying noise. And once you're ready to draw cards, you right click and you just say draw. So here, 1, 2, 3. So you'll see I've drawn these 3 lovely cards. Say, for example, my opponent, let's just switch to blue quickly. I just want to show you that my opponent can't see I'm now the blue player, I can't see what's in my hand here, even though red player can see exactly what's in his hand. Blue player cannot, it just shows up as blank cards to him. So don't worry about keeping cards in your hand, they are hidden. And if you want to call them up quickly, you can mouse to the bottom of your screen here. And if you want to zoom in, as always, Alt will give you the quick view. So yeah, that's the Dropfleet mod. If you have any questions or queries, suggestions, ideas, criticisms, please do leave a message either on this video or on the workshop page. We're very happy to listen to any feedback and hoping to improve this mod as we go along and take it to even greater heights. Thanks for watching and have fun gaming.
Hi, I'm Gregg from the Wallcast, or you may know me as Violetta, and you will rue the day you did not like and subscribe this video.